Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm still Sarah, and today I've got a really cool interview for you. Back in December, I connected with Renata Rocha, who is Danilo's cousin. Danilo is another member of Midnight Oil Collective. He's the director of Soul. That's one of the really cool things about the collective is you can share your network with each other and boost each other's projects up that way. I had a really great conversation with Renata about her job as an oceanographer. Yeah, she makes maps of the ocean floor in the Netherlands. It's awesome. We talked about shipwrecks, World War II bombs, narwhals, seals, what it's like to live with the same people for an extended period of time. It was super fun and super informative, especially because one of my characters is a cartographer. So I was like, what is it actually like to live on a ship and make maps of your world? Anyway, I hope you have as much fun listening to this conversation as I did having it. And without further ado, here is that conversation with Renata. So tell me where you are right now, like in the world.
I'm just in my house in the Netherlands.
Right, in the Netherlands. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Dang. Do you mind just saying your name and your profession?
Yes, my name is Renata Rocha. I am a hydrographic surveyor, and an oceanographer, but currently I work as a hydrographic surveyor.
Can you just explain again, like what exactly that means and what your day-to-day looks like? Because your job sounds so cool and I'm starting to think I went into the wrong profession.
Yeah, everybody says that, but it's not always that nice. Sometimes it's hard, but yeah, some other times it's very fun also. Basically what we make, it's maps of the seafloor and for different purposes and the different applications. I studied oceanography and I specialized in marine geology. Yeah, I had kind of a scientific background like on my studies, but now I work as a hydrographic surveyor, which is a very technical, applied kind of job actually. So I just literally go out on boats and measure the seafloor or measure other properties of the seafloor. And later on, we make maps out of it, or sometimes just models like 3D models, or sometimes we just deliver the data clouds, which are like the measurements of the individual points, and they can also work with that later on. And yeah, it's very crowded in the sea nowadays, so it looks like it's a little bit like distant, but it's actually, there's a lot of work in that sector. It's very busy. We don't stop this year. We just did as normal as like any other year, for example. And yeah, there's a lot of jobs and not that many people doing that. So it's actually not that hard to get a job in that profession.
I'll have to keep that in mind. I might
if you really, really, really want to, then you can get it. And in my company is one of the places where like the most important thing is not even the background or the studies that the person did, but just what they want to do, if they want to do it. Like I have a colleague that is a car mechanic and he's one of our best surveyors in the company.
That's so cool.
Yeah, he can just solve any like technical problems that happens with them, because we use these machines and we use boats. And sometimes it's just us and the skipper on the boat. There is like not a big, we are not so offshore. We are more nearshore oriented. So we go on small vessels. And yeah, it's an important skill to know how to fix stuff when stuff breaks. And you can, not waste any time, because time is money, of course. And unfortunately, that's all that matters. But yeah, not really all for us, because for us, it's also fun to do it. We just enjoy it.
So I know that when I first started studying like what being on a boat nowadays looks like, my boat vocabulary was like sailboats and then pirate ships. So what kind of boat do you work on, and where does it fall between that?
All right, yeah, I work on survey boats. They are specifically designed for survey. So it's hard actually, like it's getting more common to have boats that are specifically designed for that, but sometimes it used to be a fishing boat and it just was renovated, fitted for purpose. So you make holes in places where you want to put your instruments, and you make things to attach it to, because we have this kind of echo sounders other machines that we have to lower into the sea, because if you put it on the boat has so much noise. It's literally like really, really noisy on a boat. So we have to put it down as far as possible from the boat so it doesn't bother all of our measurements, because our measurements are literally noise. That's what we measure. And then we interpreted it into depth measurements or images and things like that. But literally we are just yelling at the seafloor and hearing what it says back. And then we interpret it. And then we make maps and images and pictures and stuff that you can associate with. You can just, it looks like if you look at an image from the seafloor, it looks just like maybe mountains or sea or dunes or whatever, but literally it's just points with measurements, and we made that. So
cool. And then so what do you use this data for? Like who is saying, hey, I want these maps of the seafloor, and what can that be applied to?
There are different clients and different industries that want this data. One industry that is very important, but we don't work with them, is the oil industry, because they have all sorts of installations on the seafloor and they need data all the time for that, since before they even start doing something until they are actually doing it, and after they did it also. So they need a lot of data. But we don't work with that in my company. We work more with offshore wind farms. That's a big thing now at the moment. And the North Sea is really crowded with wind farms. It is like, I don't know, you cannot imagine. It's the sea, but underneath it, or like even on top, because its wind turbines are everywhere. It's really busy. It's like it's just like a construction site, a huge one. And we need to monitor the installations all the time. And before they are installed, while they're being installed, and after they're installed, every year or so, we have to survey the installations to make sure that it's not eroding. So it's not that it's stable. It's not gonna, it's very dynamic. It's changing all the time. So you have to make sure that it's still on place, not that it's gonna fall. And then it's a big deal.
Got it.
But,
wind farms like in terms of natural energy. Okay, cool.
And there is like a different sectors also, because there is also the companies that are installing the cables to the wind farm. They also need data through like a route, sometimes 100 kilometers where they have to put this cable, and this is all the time. This can take like 1 year, 2 years, and we are always providing data. Sometimes they are using the data like at the time. I have to be on a boat and map something what they are doing and give to the guys on the other vessel, which is a bigger vessel that is actually doing the job, and they immediately use that data for what they're doing. So that's also a cool thing to do. So like, there's no fancy maps or anything. It's just data going. I take it, I make data, and I give it to them, and they just use it like right away. And you feel it like the hurry, and they're like, hey, please, can you send it? And send it. We need it. And sometimes there's a lot of pressure, but it's also fun and pleasant, or like pleasing to deliver those things. Cool. It's like you feel that you're part of something.
You get like that instant gratification of seeing your work being applied. That's really neat.
But sometimes it's also just like the government wants this data to make navigational charts, nautical charts from the beach or near the beach. I hear there is a lot of coastal protection projects because of the Netherlands is under below the sea level, so it's a constant risk of flooding. So they have a lot of just monitoring of the morphology of the coast, make sure that it's not eroding and things like that, so that they can protect it. So that also is a sector, an industry. Would say one of our clients actually. We do a lot for the Dutch government here. It's cool. Really cool. It's really, really great. It's a good client.
So you mostly work and travel sort of around the Netherlands shores. Have you branched out to any other locations, or do you mostly stay local then?
Netherlands, UK, Germany, Denmark. So it's like mostly North Sea, but my company has some projects overseas, like in Taiwan and in the Caribbean, in Africa also. But I mostly stick around Europe. For me, it's easier because of my visa also requirements. Like I'm not a European, so it's harder to just go somewhere and work there. Here I have, I'm allowed to work here. So.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
So,
but I wouldn't mind going to the Caribbean for a project. That wouldn't be bad.
right. Me too, although it sounds like your line of work is more likely to take you there than mine.
Yeah, you never know. I don't know. You're also are full of possibilities.
That's true. How long are you on a boat without coming to shore? Like, do you spend nights on the boat as well? Or do you, because you work close to the shore, do you come back in?
Yeah, if we go on it could be both. Like, I mean, not at the same time, but we do both. It's either on a small vessel, which is just you and the skipper, or maybe a few colleagues, but very small, and there is no accommodation. So we just come back to port every night. But sometimes we stay on a bigger vessel, and then we stay offshore. We are like also further offshore, deeper water also, and doing a little bit different kind of jobs. And yeah, we stay there 24 hours operations usually. So we just sleep on the vessel.
Oh, cool.
And
are those in like cabins? Like now I'm picturing like cruise ship cabins, but I don't know how big this vessel is.
Yeah, well, yeah, it can be, normally it's, not like a cruise ship cabin. It can be very small, like just a place for a bed. I had once just a bunk bed and like, I don't know, maybe 1 meter to the side, and that was it. And I had to share this with my colleague, which was the opposite shift. So if he's off shift, then he can use the cabin because I'm out. But also sometimes it's a little bit bigger, not so much bigger, maybe double the size of this. And you can have also your own toilet inside of the room. It depends on the size of the vessel. The last one I was on, the big one, it had even a sauna on the vessels. It was like really, really fancy. But yeah, most of the times you're not staying on that fancy. It's like being the survey is like a very important part of a big project. That's also one of the first things I learned in the company. Like it's a lot of other parts of the project depends on the survey, but it's a very cheap part also, and they don't pay much. And we need to be small to go on the awkward places. Like you want to go shallow, you want to go in, I don't know, corners. So you want smaller vessels. So the smaller, the better actually. But yeah, if you're offshore, then it's different.
Yeah. What's the strangest or craziest thing that's happened while you're on the boat? I mean, you mentioned like some technical things can break down, but I don't know, have you made any like discoveries like, oh, that's weird? Or, I just imagine yelling at the ocean floor that you might get some strange things yelling back at you.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that we have strange things happening all the time, but I just get used to them so much that I cannot like pinpoint one now. It's just like every time it's some crap happening. Like last time we had this big frame, just like last project that I did. And it was my first time working with this thing. It was magnetometers. So you're actually measuring the magnetics of the materials, because we are looking for bombs, for like Second World War bombs that might be in the construction site. They need to be removed. Yeah, that's a very common survey that we do, like it's one of our specialties. These bombs need to be removed before any project starts, so they hire us to just search for them. And the way we do that, we just have magnetometers measuring, the magnetic field. And when there is an anomaly, then there's probably a target. So they go investigate them with a camera on those targets. But yeah, to do this with these magnetometers, we have a frame, like a big one, where we can put 6 magnetometers together, one next to each other. It's a very big thing. And there are motors on it. We developed it in-house, and we can control it. So it's a remotely operated or remotely towed vehicle that we can control with a computer software. And yeah, the principle is really nice, but like this is a very big, heavy thing, and you put it in the water. Normally, we don't have very good weather here, and we don't want to wait so much for it because, it's a waste of time. So because it doesn't come, it is winter in the North Sea or in Europe. So what can you expect? But we put it in the water anyway, and then the whole thing flipped around. Like in the water by itself. And we have no idea what do we do now to like flip it back. So just try to put it back in the water, flip it back, because it is so big. You cannot just flip it. Like you cannot just put it on board of the vessel and do it. Like it needs to be done by itself. But yeah, I don't know. It was just completely crazy. And you have this big thing coming up and down and up and down and flipping in the ocean, and like
terrible weather happening too.
yeah, and like I have no idea. And then later on we had to replace one of the motors from it, like 1,000 bolts and screws. I'm also not like really good at it, like I was an academic. I studied like that's also one of the challenges for me, like just to know how to use the tools. And on a moving vessel, if bad weather, sometimes the clients are there. Like this time I had 2 clients looking at us. What are we doing? How are we doing it?
Well, that's when you bring in the car mechanic to be like, all right, I got the wrench.
yeah. But he's not always there. But yeah, like we have to kind of be all of us have to be some sort of mechanics. Like we just take our tools and do it. Like we just do it. Even if we do it weird, like sometimes it's duct tape everywhere, like tie ribs, and yeah, but we just make it work.
That's amazing. I love that all problem solving just eventually comes down to planned duct tape.
Yeah, definitely. Duct tape is an important material, essential.
So how many people are usually on a ship or a team at a time?
Oh, depends. It can be just you and 2, like you and another person that is piloting the boat, or it can be, I don't know, 100 people in a project. Yeah, because of if you have a big vessel, then they have a lot of crew also just to maintain the vessel and the things in the vessel. So like, yeah, maybe 50, like this was a big vessel and there was 50 crew members already. So like just to keep everything going because the vessel is so big. And then like 20 project members, so you have quite a few people in the vessel. But yeah, when it comes down to the job, like all you need is one. Yeah, if it's just making maps, like just that, then you just need 2. And then the more things you want, because sometimes it's just how complicated are those maps and what you are looking for, and you need to use other techniques and more instruments, and it's getting like more dangerous, and then you need more people. But yeah, cool. Our job is very small compared to the rest. Like if we are in a big vessel, it's not just us. Like then there are other things going on as well. It's like a big group doing different things. So yeah, then it's different.
Is there any consideration that you have to take for wildlife while you're doing this? Because if you're dropping equipment in, I imagine there are some kinds of communities down there.
Yeah, definitely. The ones that mind us the most are the mammals, or like the dolphins and whales, because they use the same method for their positioning in the water and communication. So they are also kind of having their own biological sonars, and they are yelling at each other at the seafloor. That's how they know how deep they are, or how they have to go, how far they have to go to get air, and they can see each other, they communicate with each other. But they say, the researchers, that some of our frequencies that we use are the same as what they use, so then it's interfering or causing them confusion and problems. So yeah, and some projects you need to have a guy there that is just observing to see if he sees any mammals, because you can see them because they just go all the time to get air. So dolphins and whales you can see. So if they see, these are in big projects, seismic, like with us, almost never. Then if they see, you have to stop it, or you have to, there's not much that you can do actually. Like you just should not bother them so much. But sometimes we just take also this, we just do it, like sometimes we are in a nature reserve, and it's not allowed to do this there because it bothers the animals. But if you need to install a cable to the offshore wind farm, then they give an exception for you to, during that period of time, you can bother them And yeah, so like we are aware that they are there and we know that we bother them, but in the end of the day, when they want the job done, they get the job done. And
well, I imagine that some of the problems are mutual then, because if you're saying they're at the same frequencies, then probably their communication would mess with your equipment, right?
yeah, but we have all kinds of noises that affect our equipment, but we filter it and we fix it also later on. So it doesn't really bother us that much. Sometimes they appear in our map. They can just be on the data. That's fun. I never
cool.
seen it myself, but I had a colleague that showed me a picture of a perfect whale, like on the seafloor from the measurements. She just swam there while they were measuring it. So
cool. So there's some like imaging too. It's not just data.
Yeah, we see it immediately. It's all interfaced in the computers, in like a lot of computers. Actually, we have like sometimes 8 screens, 6 to 8 screens for sure are on. And all this data is already being interpreted by the computer and turns like in kind of live maps. So like you were sailing it, sometimes you feel like you have a brush and you have to paint this part of the seafloor with the data. And you just go with the boat, and in the computer you can see already where you've passed. You can see like already a stretch of map being made. And then we fill in a box or whatever, and you can see the things coming like immediately. And if there is noise, then you will see some weird things. But then in the office later on, the processors are going to take the noise out and just make it good. So immediately you can see something, but if there is noise or if there is problems with the data, you also see it, and then you can try to fix it, because sometimes you can see a problem that you have, maybe something is wrong with the equipment, like there are so many equipment and they all need to be in sync and they all need to be working perfectly fine. So that's why you want to see the data immediately, because if you do it wrong, they cannot fix it anymore. Like, if there is noise, if there is some things there, they're normal, okay. But if there is something with the positioning or the height, it's very important to know the height. This is what we measure, and the positioning, where it is. Otherwise, it's useless. You can just throw it out, If this is wrong, doesn't matter, like what is there. It's not possible. They need to know exactly where everything is and how high and things like that to do what they want with that data. Some other types of survey, it's not so obvious. Like we do also sub-bottom surveys, where you want to see the features under the seafloor. Or what is it like? Sometimes there's a cable, you want to see how deep is the cable. So you need something that will actually penetrate the seafloor to see something that it's under. So this is, when you see the data, is harder. It's just waves and black and white, and it goes really crazy.
And sometimes there's a whale.
It is just weird, strange data. So it's not easy to see that even later on when the deliverables are made. It's still a little bit weird. So
has your job evolved from the time? How long have you been in this position, by the way?
I've been only for 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So before I was just studying and doing my master's and research, things like that.
What degrees do you have? You said you have a master's?
Yeah, I have. So I studied oceanography for a bachelor's, and I have a master's in geography and geoinformation science and earth observation. Which is just a methodology to make maps on the computer, because that's how we do it nowadays, of course.
And have you seen your job evolve from the time that you started 3 years ago to now? Like, has the method or the equipment you use changed much, or has it been essentially the same?
Yeah, I think just more and more. Like it's in the beginning, you start with the simplest, at least in my company, like it's different everywhere, but we start just with the easiest method, which is a single beam survey. It's just one equipment that sends one point of data and take it, and you make lines of data. And we use that to map nautical channels. But then you start to use the multi-beam, which is like then making like this real live maps. and then the magnetometers, or sometimes going in bigger. So it's like you just start small and within the company, and like these small projects that you don't interact so much with the client or anything. It's just ourselves, and it's easier interactions. And then you start going more like talking to the client always, and being together. Sometimes you have clients rep with you, so it just gets a little bit more responsibility.
Okay.
But I do this schedule, which is like 4 weeks on and 4 weeks off. And and this is very nice, but there's also its disadvantages, which is like it limits your development a bit and the speed of your development, because you need to fit in the calendar. So it's a little bit hard, like, like my company is very flexible, so things are just happening very quick, and they want to make a project, and they sign a contract this week, and next week they want to start, and then it is going like this. So it's a bit harder to plan with time that you can be 4 weeks on a project. So sometimes it's getting a little bit behind on the development, but I have time to do a lot of things when I'm off, so I like that.
That's good. I know that you had mentioned that having that schedule means that you can have a social life, but it kind of has to happen in those 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's true. I have like 2 lives, I work, and then I have no social life. I don't even sometimes talk to people that are not there. Then, I have all my social life at work. Actually, we are very social. We are always going out and doing things together. Or like now during this year, we rented houses to stay because it was COVID. So you cannot, we find hotels very depressive during COVID times.
Oh, yeah.
So we just rent houses and stayed there. Like for us, it's okay because we have to be on a small vessel anyway together. So it is like the same household. And we just keep cooking for ourselves and drinking beer together in the evening, maybe watch a movie or something, just like a little family. And
that sounds
cool.
Great. Yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah.
If you like everybody there. I can imagine if there are some issues, it would get pretty volatile pretty fast.
Yeah, that is true. That is actually a thing, and it is an important thing. It needs to be good. The atmosphere is very important. It needs to be good. And I've been told already by my manager that if there is a problem of bad atmosphere on the vessel, you have to report this immediately, and we have to take action as soon as possible. Like,
oh, that's a good
important. Yeah, it is so important, because if it's bad, people are just going to not work well and maybe make mistakes. It can even lead to unsafe situations. So it is just we have to be nice to each other and take care of each other. But this is also, within my company, it's almost no problem because everybody's super nice. Like, everybody's a character. Like, not one person is kind of boring or unpolite. Like, it's just everybody is very unique, and I think it's one of the reasons why they hire us. We just want to be like unique, everyone.
Yeah.
So,
Are most people local?
Yeah, I used to be more Dutch, but we are now taking over. Like there are a lot of French people also, and mostly Europeans. There is quite a few Polish people, British people. From outside Europe, there is just me from Brazil and another guy from India. The rest are Europeans. It's a bit easier to hire Europeans, like there is not all the visa complications and stuff. So
when did you move from Brazil to the Netherlands, and why did you decide to go there? Was that because of the job?
No, I just when I finished my studies oceanography, I wanted to do a master's abroad. I also wanted to do it in Rio de Janeiro, because why not? But it was the end of my graduation, and I need to finish my bachelor thesis, which was like quite long in the end, and there were other problems with my house and things like that. I just wanted to have something to do next, and the industry was going bad because I was then kind of being trained for working in the oil industry, but there was the big oil crisis at the time. It was around 2015, and like there were no jobs. Everybody was getting fired. So like, okay, I go for master's, and where do I go? But it was so late in the year that there was not that many it's not possible to apply to that many programs because they were already closed, the application. So I found that one. It was Erasmus Mundus, and 1 year in the Netherlands and 1 year in Iceland.
Oh, wow.
And I always wanted to go to Iceland. Like I've been there for a trip, but I wanted to, yeah, I was really in love with Iceland. It's like amazing. So kind of because of that, because with that program I could go to Iceland,
Hmm.
that I chose to come here. So
Are there any misconceptions about what you do? Like when you tell people what you do, are there any assumptions that they make that you have to correct all the time?
yes, definitely. All the time they think I am a marine biologist, which is a complete different profession, and like definitely has nothing to do with it. But especially if I say I'm an oceanographer, they always think I am a marine biologist, like that I dive and that I swim with whales and with sea
Right.
turtles. And I'm just like, no, I have these machines and I sit behind the computer screen the whole time,
Yeah.
most of the time at least, besides of the time when I'm actually outside deploying the machines. But yeah, it is just always. But if I say I'm a surveyor, then they don't know what I'm talking about. They have no idea. And then I have to explain that, yeah, I just always say we make maps because it's the easiest. But yeah, it can be a little bit more than that. Like sometimes you're searching for things or just positioning things. Yeah.
What kind of
But
things are you searching for? Oh, besides like the World War II bombs, like are you ever searching
maybe
for shipwrecks?
shipwrecks. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
shipwrecks. Or like last year or 2 years ago, actually, there was an accident with a big container vessel, and they dropped 300 containers on a nature reserve area here in the Netherlands. So
Oh.
we needed to search for those containers everywhere, like, and we just like looking for containers for 6 months, I think.
You find them all?
No, not all, but we found a lot of them, and also a lot of other things, including shipwrecks, which were not mapped before because it was just like everywhere we were mapping. So that was great, actually. Great project.
Yeah, that's really cool. You're making all these discoveries while looking for
Yeah,
containers.
definitely, definitely. It's fun. Can be fun.
Unrelated, well, kind of related. Have you ever seen a narwhal? I am like obsessed with narwhals, and you can't see them in captivity, but I know that there are narwhals like up north. Some people like think that they're like unicorns, that they're fake, but I'm like, no,
Yeah,
narwhals are real and they're so cool, and I want to see one so bad.
it's a unicorn whale.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I
Yeah.
would love to see one. No, yeah, I don't see many of the fun animals actually. This is like really disappointing. And
Mm.
I see a lot of crabs and ugly fish. It's very boring.
Uh,
Yeah.
is that
In
because
Brazil, if I was in the ship in Brazil, then there's always whales and dolphins and stuff. But here it's just like, oh, one thing we see that is nice is seals. There's a lot
oh,
of
you do
seals.
see seals? Oh,
Yeah, a
cool.
lot. A lot. They are always chilling on the beach. Oh, like a lot of them.
Oh, that's really fun. They're just kind of
And we go,
shameless.
sometimes we go very close to them and they're just like laying there and then they look at us and then slowly start, okay, I go now. But we can go very close to them, like a couple
That's
of meters
are
with the
they're like
boat.
they're like the big ones, like the circus seal type.
Yes, they're very fat, very fat.
The fat seals.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Well, I think I've run through about all of my questions. Before we wrap
Okay.
up, is there anything else you want to say to the audience about your job? Or if not, that's totally fine too. I feel like we talked about a lot of really cool stuff. So,
Yeah, no, yeah, I think so too, that we talked a lot and I think that's enough. And yeah, maybe I don't know, maybe if it's getting too romantic, it shouldn't be too romantic, like it is a hard job sometimes, like yeah, we are working long hours and in the night in the cold weather and the very weird awkward situations, yes, all the time. But yeah, we have fun. That's important.
good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you have fun. Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much for talking with me. This has been wonderful. I loved hearing about your job, like all parts of it, the romantic and the not romantic parts. So this was
Yeah,
really
yeah.
good.
That's
So
cool. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for talking to me. It was cool, and I'm looking forward to see your project done when it's done.
thank you again so much, and have
Yeah,
a great evening.
you too. Bye, and happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
Yeah, bye.
Thank you all so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Please let me know in the comments below if there are other people you would like me to interview, other subjects you would like me to talk about. I know a lot of you really enjoyed that video game video I did, and I really enjoyed making it. So a part 2 is definitely coming up of that. In the meantime, please check out the other stuff that MOC has on our channel, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye!